Eileen Gu says she was assaulted at Stanford amid China decision backlash. Freestyle skier Eileen Gu said she was physically assaulted on the street while on campus at Stanford University during her time as a student. The police were called. The 22-year-old Olympic gold medalist told The Athletic, "I've had death threats. I've had my dorm robbed." Gu, who enrolled at Stanford in 2022, linked the incidents to sustained backlash over her 2019 decision to compete for China instead of the U.S. Representation choice fuels controversy. Gu's decision at age 15 to represent her mother's birth country made her one of the most high-profile athletes to switch national affiliation ahead of the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics. The move drew criticism in the U.S., including being labeled ungrateful by conservative commentators and opportunistic by fellow athletes. "In the U.S. growing up, I had so many idols to look up to," she shared. "But in China, I feel like there are a lot fewer of those. I'd have a much greater impact in China than in the U.S., and that's ultimately why I made my decision." Success amid sustained scrutiny. While the star athlete did not provide a date for the alleged assault, Gu described the cumulative toll of years of scrutiny, saying, "I've gone through some things as a 22-year-old that I really think no one should ever have to endure ever." She has consistently defended her national team decision, stating she was proud of my heritage and equally proud of my American upbringings. Despite the controversy surrounding her allegiance, she won 2 gold medals and 1 silver at the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics, becoming the first freestyle skier to capture 3 medals at a single games. Criticism resurfaces in Italy. Gu is currently competing in her second Olympic Games in Italy, where she won silver in the women's big air event. The renewed spotlight has brought fresh criticism, with Vice President J.D. Vance recently suggesting Gu should have represented Team USA, arguing that she benefited from our education system, from the freedoms and liberties that makes this country a great place. Former NBA player Enes Kanter Freedom has also expressed his criticism, calling her a traitor for competing for China despite being born and raised in the U.S. Their remarks echo findings from recent academic research that U.S. media coverage has frequently framed Gu's nationality decision as a question of loyalty rather than a straightforward career choice. Eileen Gu. Triumph, turmoil, and the cost of a choice. Eileen Gu's name has become synonymous with extraordinary athletic achievement. At just 22 years old, the freestyle skiing phenom has already rewritten Olympic history. She became the most decorated women's free skier ever, collecting multiple medals across the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics and the 2026 Milan Cortina Games. But behind the gleaming hardware and the global endorsements lies a story far more complex, one of identity, pressure, controversy, and at times real-world physical danger. In early 2026, amid her latest Olympic campaign, Gu opened up about an aspect of her life few could have anticipated. Beyond online criticism and fiery debates about national loyalty, she shared that during her time as a student at Stanford University, she had been physically assaulted on campus, received death threats, and even experienced a dormitory robbery, all linked, she believes, to the backlash over her decision to compete for China instead of the United States. This revelation reframes the public conversation about Gu. For many, she is not just an elite athlete and cultural flashpoint, but someone who has endured genuine fear and harm, raising questions about how society treats figures who, by choice or circumstance, sit at the intersection of sports, geopolitics, and identity. The decision that redefined her path. To understand the context of Gu's Stanford experiences, we must look back to 2019. At the age of 15, Gu, born and raised in San Francisco to an American father and a Chinese mother, announced a decision that shocked the world of winter sports. She would represent China in international competition, including the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics. Gu explained that the choice was rooted in heritage and aspiration. She wanted to be a role model for young Chinese athletes and help grow winter sports in a nation where few icons existed in skiing. She spoke about her pride in both her American upbringing and her Chinese heritage, describing her decision as a bridge between cultures rather than a rejection of one. This nuanced, personal reasoning, however, was not how many in the United States saw it. To some critics, especially in a politically charged era where U.S.-China relations are tense, her choice became a lightning rod for broader anxieties. Questions of loyalty, patriotism, and even economic motivations permeated commentary on social media, news outlets, and sports talk shows. GU has routinely maintained that she made her decision for the love of sport and impact on young athletes, not financial gain or political calculation. Yet a massive endorsement portfolio, reportedly earning millions annually, and her visibility as a global celebrity gave fuel to critics who saw her as prioritizing fame or money over national affiliation. In this contest of narratives, one of personal choice versus national symbolism, GU found herself at the center of debates that had little to do with her skiing skills and everything to do with the politics of belonging. Life at Stanford, Promise and Peril. GU enrolled at Stanford University in 2022. Following her Olympic success, the university, one of the world's leading academic institutions, was a dream school, a place she had aspired to attend since childhood. In this path, she embodied the classic American ideal, athletic excellence paired with elite education. But in interviews during the 2026 Winter Olympics, GU disclosed that her Stanford experience was marred by a level of hostility rife for most students. In an interview with The Athletic, GU said that during her time on campus she was physically assaulted on the street near Stanford grounds, prompting police to be called. She also shared that she received death threats connected to her choice to compete for China, threats serious enough to upend feelings of safety, and that at one point her dorm room was burglarized while she was away. Stanford's public safety and police departments declined to confirm specific details of these incidents, underscoring the tension between privacy, institutional reputation, and public interest. Official university statements instead emphasized a general commitment to safety, without addressing GU's specific claims. Public records later obtained by the San Francisco Chronicle provided additional context, showing that a man with a history of stalking and battery was arrested in connection with the 2023 campus assault involving GU, and that security reports showed a broader rise in stalking and safety incidents on Stanford's campus over recent years. While not all these incidents are confirmed to be directly tied to the controversy over her nationality choice, and privacy concerns naturally limit full disclosure, GU's account reveals a college experience far removed from typical academic stress, one shadowed by fear, scrutiny, and real physical risk. Backlash, belonging, and identity. GU's experiences tap into deeper societal anxieties around identity in a globalized age. She is not simply an athlete with dual heritage. She is a symbol of cultural hybridity, of transnational identities, and of the new realities of global sports where nationality is sometimes chosen, rather than automatically assigned. For many in China, GU is Eileen, a homegrown success, a Western-raised prodigy who returned to elevate Chinese sport. She is celebrated not just for medals, but for representation and inspiration. A social media phenomenon dubbed the Snow Princess, she carries cultural resonance as a beacon for young female athletes across China. In the United States, reactions have been more conflicted. While many admire her athletic brilliance, others see her choice through the lens of national loyalty, a misunderstanding, perhaps, rooted in old notions of allegiance that don't always align with the realities of a globalized world where individuals increasingly navigate overlapping cultural identities. This tension was epitomized in public criticism from figures like U.S. politicians who questioned her loyalty, commentary that GU herself has addressed with a mix of humor and pointed reflection. In interviews, she has said she sometimes feels like a punching bag for critics who conflate her personal decision with geopolitical tensions, arguing that anti-China sentiment too often fuels backlash. The dialogues around her highlight a larger cultural question: who gets to belong, and on what terms? When an athlete born and nurtured in one country chooses to represent another, for heritage, identity, or opportunity, how should fans and critics respond? Should national sports fandom be inflexible, or can it accommodate complexity? GU's story suggests that in our era, identity cannot be reduced to passports or flags alone. It is lived, negotiated, and constantly in conversation with social expectations. The human cost of public life. Amid all the medals, headlines, and social media storms, GU's disclosures remind us that public figures are human beings first, with